Hi, thanks for joining us and continuing our conversation on intensive and reflexive pronouns. In this topic entitled Me, Myself, and I, we'll be looking more closely at reflexive pronouns. A reflexive pronoun is just like what you see in its name. It reflects or gives a reflection on the noun or pronoun that it is describing in a sentence. It renames the subject of an action verb in a sentence. So if I run to the store, it's going to rename I in the sentence. She runs to the store. The reflexive pronoun is going to rename she. It is essential in a sentence, and it cannot be removed. If it is removed, the sentence is not correct, or if it is removed, it can change the meaning of a sentence. It always agrees in number and gender with the subject of the sentence. That there again, I has to agree, or myself would have to agree with in number and in gender with the subject of the sentence, which is I. We cannot say she, myself, because myself does not agree with she in number and in gender. Myself, yourself, himself, herself, itself, ourselves, yourselves, and themselves are all reflexive pronouns. I put this mirror here to remind us that reflexive pronouns are a reflection of the subject of an action verb in a sentence. Let's take a look more closely. Check out these reflexive pronouns in action. Here on the right, we have a list of pronouns. We have a list of sentences with pronouns in them, with a reflexive pronoun in them. And here on the left, and here on the right, we have a list of the sentences, the same sentence, where I remove the reflexive pronoun. And we'll see that these sentences, either the meaning changes or they don't make sense at all once we remove that reflexive pronoun. I wrote myself a letter. This is emphasizing I. Myself is emphasizing I. I wrote myself a letter. Let's check out this sentence on the right. I wrote a letter. It changes the meaning of the sentence. It's grammatically correct, but it doesn't have the same meaning. I wrote a letter just means I wrote a letter. To who I don't know, about what I don't know. It's just I wrote a letter. He gave himself a pat on the back. A pat on the back. He gave a pat on the back. And this, it's again like in the first example, when we remove himself, it changes the meaning of the sentence. They excluded themselves from the rest of the group. Here we have, they excluded from the rest of the group. This doesn't even mean anything in English. In fact, this is one of those sentences that actually does not work at all. It doesn't make any sense once we remove the reflexive pronoun. You poured yourself a cup of coffee. You pour a cup of coffee. Again, the meaning of the sentence is changed. She tried to convince herself not to go. She tried to convince not to go. This sentence here doesn't mean anything either. It's not correct in English. We speak amongst ourselves. We speak amongst. This is also a sentence, the last one here, and it's a sentence that doesn't mean anything at all. So we see from these examples that a reflexive pronoun is important in the sentence. It's essential in the sentence. If we remove it, it changes completely the meaning of the sentence. I hope that this lesson has been helpful for you. A quick recap of what we've learned in this lesson, what a reflexive pronoun is, that it renames the subject of an action verb in a sentence, it's essential in the sentence, it cannot be removed, and it always agrees in number and in gender with the subject of the sentence. And here we also see the list of all the verbs all the reflexive pronouns that are here. And then I put this image of a mirror in here to remind you that a reflexive pronoun is really a reflection, an enhancer of the pronoun or noun that it is replacing in a sentence, that it is renaming in a sentence. I hope that you've enjoyed this lesson, and stay tuned for our next lovely lesson. They love each other. Oh, how sweet. I'll see you there. Bye-bye.